Go ahead. It's 9 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. Um, all right. So if you don't have pen and paper, I'm going to say go ahead and grab some because you're going to want to take some notes. I probably am going to even need to take some notes. And I ran out of paper, but that's okay. I can jot in the margin. All right. So tonight we're going to talk about getting your business off the ground, launching your business in an effective way, using the tools that we have at our disposal and making the most of them and sort of finding your own path, but using the tools that are already around so that you don't have to recreate the wheel. Um, there are some proven methods to really make the most of your beginnings. And I wish that we had had these around when I started with doTERRA, but we didn't. Thank goodness some of the people who started doTERRA back in the beginning and some of the wellness advocates that were building at the same time as me were much smarter and got these tools together for us. I'm going to share those with you. But I'm here to tell you how I've used them, how I've seen them work marvelously for the people who implement them, and how I'm so grateful that it makes my job so much easier. And so for anyone starting with doTERRA, Stephanie says she can't hear anything. Can you guys hear me? I hope so. I've been talking a lot. Cecilia, can you hear me? I can see your face. Can you nod? She's not responding. Yes? Was that a yes? Okay. All right. So I'm sorry, Stephanie. I don't know what's up. Maybe your volume's just not right. Boo. Hopefully she'll come back. But okay. So you have your pen and your paper. I think the first and most important thing to determine before you start building your doTERRA career is, we talked about this last time. We talked about having a vision. We talked about, we had that moment where we closed our eyes and we thought about what would we do if we had this money to give, to share, that we could, kind of think beyond where we maybe focus now to try to pay the bills and just get by. What would we do if our lives were full of abundance and joy and all the things that we could potentially dream of? And so I really want you to think about that. It doesn't have to be quite such a big vision, but I do want you to think about what would you do, um, if doTERRA afforded you the things that you maybe don't have right now or that you want more of. Um, would that look like travel for you? Would it look like maybe sending your kids to some classes or some school that you can't afford now, or buying some luxuries that are that you just can't afford at this moment? Pay off some debts, whether that's student loans or the mortgage or whatever. Wouldn't it be amazing to have no debt at all? Can you imagine? So those are some things I want you to be thinking about. It's really important that you be fueled by your own vision and by your own motivation when you're building your business, because the more that you're relying on somebody else's vision, the less success you're probably going to see, because that won't wake you up on the bad days and be like, oh yeah, I really need to do this for her, right? You need to figure out what it is that gets you up and going. And I talked to you about when it was my personal story, there were days where I was like, I don't want to do this. It's terrible. This hurts, it was painful, whatever the experience was. Someone enrolled with someone else. And there was a time when my husband would look at me and say, Lacey, you don't have to do this. I have a job. It's great. And that was a relief for me. But at the same time, I was like, nope, I said I was going to do this. And I dug my heels in because I had a bigger vision for our family and for what this could do for us. And ultimately, because I love, love, love these products. And I can't stay quiet for more than 10 minutes about them. Right. So it's really important that you connect with that. Your belief in these products is super important. So I'm gonna pull up the launch guide, because I'm gonna use this a little bit to sort of as a guide for us. It literally is a guide for us. It's a free guide. I have to hit share screen though. I just realized I didn't do that. So this launch guide is available from the doTERRA website. It is totally free for you to use. You just download it from the Empowered Success area under launch. And this is kind of your guide to really get and boost your business off the ground. And I'm going to tell you how I've seen people use this the most effectively. So I'm going to skip there's a lot of verbiage and stuff. I recommend you print this out for, probably black and white, and read through it sort of more in detail. I'm not going to get in great detail here with some of the details, but they are good. So I think that it's very important that everybody have this. Plus there's some resources in here you'll want printed so you can work through them. worksheets. Okay, so the belief in the product is number one. We have to have that. Um, Deciding what our motivator is going to be. Why do we want to earn money with doTERRA? What is that going to be? So if you have your pen and paper, I want you to write down, maybe not even a testimony right now, but have that in your mind. And right now, write down something that motivates you to keep going about this business. What do you hope it does for you financially? What does it do for you personally to share these products? I'm going to give you a few seconds to write that down. Okay, hopefully you got something scribbled out there and you can come back to it for sure. And I want to encourage you and say that, my vision now is certainly different than it was when I started with doTERRA. Of course, that's been blown wide open, but it is important that you connect with that on a personal level. So belief plus action equals result, and it's totally true. Belief in the product, you do also have to believe in the business plan and the business model. And I have to tell you that for me took a lot of work. I had to get over some major hangups that I had with network marketing. Just with my ability to do network marketing, things of that nature. And so you'll work on that as you go, but you do have to start and have a very, very firm belief in the power that our products have. And it's pretty massive. So if you use them, right? So we have this system of activities that you need to do when you're a business builder with doTERRA. So I'm just going to overview them very quickly. One is prepare. Of course, planning and preparation and sort of, using your oils as part of that. There's some other things. Inviting people. We have to invite people all the time. We want to be inviting people to experience the oils, inviting them to a presentation. And then the P you'll see is present. So that's like maybe teaching a class or having a one-on-one and getting with someone to just share the power of the oils. And then we've got E, enrolling people. That's enrolling them in, getting a kit, enrolling them in the loyalty rewards program. And then, of course, supporting them, whether they're just customers and they just need oil education, or whether maybe they even want to build and you have the tools and you're showing them the tools for that as well. Okay, so I'm going to skip through this section a little bit, but I do like this little set goals and take action. I think this is more specific. So we talked about a motivator. Now let's think a little bit more about, I keep having to move my little, there we go, people. Okay, let's think about what specific goals maybe can you set for yourself. So the goal we're going to talk about together, what we're going to talk about, we call it 6 weeks to elite. So that is 90 days, right? 60 days. Yeah, less than 60 days. 45 days. Is that 6 weeks? I'm sorry, I'm terrible at math on the off the cuff. Cecilia, what's 6 times 7 is 42, right? Okay. So it's like 45 days to elite. That's our goal. So between outrageous and target, okay? So we put that on our map, and then we'll come up with a plan of action, right? And I have the plan of action for you. You just have to commit. So you can basically take the plan I'm giving you and you can take it to the outrageous and do it in 30 days, which we see people do all the time, or do it in 90 days, or you can spread it out even longer if you want to. It all depends on your goals and your commitment and the time investment and the learning of the skills and all of those things. But we have all the resources you need for all of that. And then a 90-day goal if it's beyond elite. Maybe you have a 90-day goal of hitting premier. That's awesome. It's a different rank. We're not going to get into all of that, but those are some different options for you. And then a 1-year goal. Maybe at a year you want to be the rank of silver, earning about $1,200 a month. So this can be a really helpful way to sort of map out those steps, because you can always say, I want to be diamond and make $16,000 a year. And that's a great goal, but you have to break that down into smaller steps or it's just going to be kind of a pipe dream. And people tell me that all the time, I want to be diamond. And I'm like, okay, all right, so let's hit elite first. All right. And it takes, those are the steps along the path. So you can't skip those steps. Okay. So what do you do now? What is the first step for you now? When we're talking about the 6 weeks to elite, and again, this is going to be dependent on how many hours per week you want to put in, whether you're going to do this in 6 weeks or not. If you want to follow this model, you're going to be putting a lot of time in up front, and energy in up front, and that's okay because it's going to pay off in the end, and it's going to look like, oh my gosh, I can't do all of this, and then you're going to be like, oh, I'm so glad I did all of that, and it was so worth it. But it does take a lot of front end work to get that payoff in the end. So the first bit of work, and you all can do this, and you all should have started this, because what was our homework from last time? Those action steps I asked you to take were to make a list of people you know who would benefit from the oils. And I reminded you not to think about people who you think would be interested in the oils, but anyone you know who has any kind of ailment whatsoever. And I hope some of you did that. Can anybody raise their hand and say, yes, I did that, Lacey? Yes, I did my homework. I know Peggy did. Peggy's on here. Anybody else do their homework? I think you can raise your hand, or you can put it in the chat. I can't see the chat right now. Oh, somebody chatted. Let's see. Yay, Lisa has her list. Awesome. Very good. Okay. I don't know how to get rid of the chat now. It's in the middle of the screen. Well, anyway, technical difficulties. Um, Now I'm getting totally distracted by trying to get rid of chat. Oh, well. Okay. So that is fantastic. That is the first step. Having and being aware that you know people that need the oils. That's a huge deal. And then you were supposed to talk to your upline. I hope that you guys did that. And you're going to want to talk to them again after this. And then pick a 2-hour time before December 7th to spend 2 hours sharing what you love about the oils with one of the people on this list. Now, I will tell you, I'm just going to throw Peggy under the bus because well, that's not really under the bus because I'm praising her, but she did that immediately. The next day she went out, met her friend, and enrolled her person. And I'm like, well, there you go. That's how it's done, right? So I hope some of you did the same. I hope some of you were inspired to go ahead and get on it and just do it and knock it out. And then diving in full force is what I asked you to do last time. So I just wanted to review that. So this list of names that you're making now can be the same list. You're just going to keep adding to it, because even now I continually am adding to my list of people. I'm going to stop the share for now because we don't need it anymore. Okay. All right. So we'll go back to that probably in a little bit. And I've got all kinds of notifications popping up about my computer falling apart. So if I go away, that's why. Okay. So pump out those names, write down as many as you possibly can think of. A good goal is 100. That's a lot of names, but it's a really, even if you don't get to 100, just, I just don't want to limit you. And some people go past 100 and, just keep writing. But even now in my business, I have to have a working names list. I have to have a list of contacts that I'm constantly reaching out to. And as soon as I run out of those, then I know what my new job is. My new job is to meet new people and refill that names list. My job becomes going out and joining a club or getting together at new meetings, finding some kind of thing that I like to do, taking my kids and spending more time in the moms group areas, whatever it is. I have to start finding new names to put on that list, or else my business will kind of peter out, or I'll be stuck in a place that I don't want to be stuck. So that names list is really, really, really important. And don't worry, you'll never run out of people. I remember when I first started thinking, I'm going to run out of people. And when I run out of people, they're going to kick me out. And I'm going to have to, I would have enrolled everybody. And then they're going to be like, sorry, you haven't enrolled anyone. You got to go. And it's never come to that. So, of course, I don't enroll as many as I did in the beginning, but we still manage to eke out at least 1 or 2 every single month almost. And then sometimes we have 4 or 5, and it just depends. But yeah, so I think keeping that in mind. Okay. Then I want you to take those names. And on that list, ideally, there's a few people who you're like, oh, I love her. It would be so fun to do business with her. Or that guy is really into natural healthcare. I should totally reach out to him. He would dig this. It would totally fit what he likes to do. And so you just start thinking about the people on your list who could be incredible business partners with you and doTERRA. And you want to kind of reach out to those people first. So you're just going to highlight their names. Everyone matters, everyone's important, but we want to really think about, okay, who has qualities that would be great? Who has a network of people that already in place that they know well, that they could invite to classes? Who is somebody that people listen to when they recommend a product everybody says, oh, I want to try? maybe mothers. They're generally mothers or the nurturing types of folks. They can be a really good fit automatically. That's one characteristic. There are several different characteristics you can look for. People who are capable, people who get things done. Honestly, people who are busy, usually it's a good sign. If they're busy getting things done, maybe they're a part of PTA and they're also a part of, coaching your kids softball team or whatever it is. These types of people are the people who can get things done, who make things happen. They're the movers and the shakers. So those are the people you want to think about reaching out to first and foremost. And I want you to kind of put a pin in that because we're going to come back to that. Um, but the next step, 3, but right before we talk about that, we need to think about scheduling classes. So I pulled up, I'm going to screen share again, something different. It will work. Let's see here. Okay. So here's a calendar. So what I want you to think about is with the launch program, ideally what you would do is set up 4 days to have a class in 1 week period. So it could be from the 9th to the 15th would be the week that you would choose. And this is just the December calendar. I'm going to clarify later when I mean you should do this. Don't do it for the 9th through the 15th because it doesn't give you enough time to prepare fully. But just as an example, what you could do is set up a class for a Sunday afternoon, for a Monday evening, for a Wednesday mid-morning, and then maybe a Thursday evening. And what that would do, it was give you 4 opportunities to invite all these people on your list. And we'll talk about that more in a minute. But you'd have this on the schedule and you would teach this with your upline. Your upline really would come with all the materials needed, the class sheets, the enrollment forms, and they would teach a class and you would learn how to teach a class in this period, in this week. Because by the time you get to this 4th class, you're going to know the class back and forth and you won't even need your upline anymore. So you're going to get this, if you're not already building, you're going to get this really in-depth training period. So it's really great. And then from these 4 classes with the people on your names list, you're going to hopefully have about 45 people show up at these classes. Okay. And then from there, you're going to book classes from these classes. So we have this 1 week, and then we call would be your launch week. And then from there, you have 2 classes every week for the next 4 weeks. So that's really a 5-week period. And you can plan that differently. You can try to fit in more classes if you want. Again, this is an intensive. This is an intense program. I did not start my doTERRA business this way. Looking back, I wish I had, but I did not. When I started doTERRA, I was like, oh, I'll try one class here and there and see if people show up. I was much more uh, free spirited about it. And not that I would have done it differently because my personality probably would have said, this is ridiculous. I'm never doing that. But now looking at it, I see how it builds major momentum. And I've seen people who jump in with this program and they see major success. So they hit that goal of elite in 30 days. And then they hit the goal of premier in 90 days and silver even sooner within 4 months, 5 months. And that's been happening a lot on our team. And I know they're using this format to get there. So it's very exciting to be able to duplicate this and take it and run with it. Now, the cool thing is when you do this program, the people you enroll are like, I want to know how you did that so fast. And they want to do this too. And so it just builds this incredible momentum snowball effect on your team and can be really powerful to getting you to those goals that you want, those financial goals that you want to get to. The other reason that you would want to build this quickly, and this is something that I struggled with in the beginning of my business, but is because when you get those people who you think would make great business partners at your classes really early on, you can know out of the gate, okay, these people are the ones who are going to run with me and we're going to do this together. And you have business partners. When you start a little bit more slowly as more like a sharing mentality, again, how I started, so there's nothing wrong with it. But this, you have to wait a little while for those people to come out of the woodwork. And it can be a little frustrating, especially now there's a different, you just have to have partners in order to build for placements, again, in a different video, but it's really important that we just automatically have some vision for who we want to work with in this business. And I think, of course, they'll always come later on, maybe, but I think it's really powerful to have that known ahead of time. And when you do the 6 weeks to elite, when you enroll, 15 or so people in 1 week, automatically 1 or 2 of those people are going to be interested in building. There is an average. They say about 85% of people in doTERRA are customers and 15% are builders. And so you can kind of just calculate based on your numbers how many are going to come out of the people that you're dealing with as an average. Okay, so how do we get people to classes? We have our names list. Now what? What the heck do we do with that? I'm gonna stop my share here. So this is the part where you can get more training from us. We have other training resources for our team on sharing effectively, sampling effectively, we call it. I actually train people now. I don't love the idea of sampling anymore. I feel like there's a better way. This is my secret patented way. And that is to loan oils to people. I love loaning oils to people because then they have to talk to me again. They have to give it back to me, right? And so we have that scheduled almost usually when I give it to them. I say, okay, well, how about next week we can meet up and I'll get this back from you, or maybe in 2 days, as soon as you really can get it back from them. So this is what you would do when you're scheduling this system. You want to look 4 weeks out, maybe even 5 weeks out, and have that launch week scheduled. Have that week when you're going to have those four classes scheduled. And before then, you want to spend all your time just hyping up the oils, giving people an opportunity to experience them, and then you're going to give them this class opportunity and you're going to invite them to one of the classes. And when they say, yeah, that time won't work, then say, oh, would Monday maybe work better for you in the evening? Or would maybe Thursday be better for you? And they're going to come to one of those classes because you're going to be relentless, right? But it's important that we give them an experience first, because when they come to the class after having an experience, they will be ready to purchase. Okay. So that's a really helpful thing. They'll come knowing I at least want that oil I experienced, right? And we'll share with them the benefits of the kits and enrollment and all of that there. But yeah, so sharing an oil experience is huge. And that launch guide actually has some really good verbiage. If you feel like you struggle with what the right thing to say is, it actually has scripts where you can just read those if that's what you need. And I would advise you too, when you're starting out, write it out, write it down, kind of work with it a little bit. Don't just start spewing information at people. Start practicing it in your head. All good salespeople really have a script that they've mastered that's authentic to them, but that they can say in their sleep, because it's important to know what you're doing when you go into any situation. You don't want to show up at a concert that you haven't practiced for, right? That you've never seen the music before. So we should know the music before we go into our performances. Let's see here. So the sampling, again, I love the borrowing idea. Yeah, people tend to spew, especially when they're so excited about the oils. We just start giving people all the information. And that can be overwhelming for sure. We only want to give people tidbits of information. We want to give them crumbs at a time. We know they need the oils. They don't know that yet, but we can't give them too much or they're going to be like, yeah, I'm out. You have to give them little bits at a time. Okay, so after they've experienced the oils, you invite them to one of these classes that you have on the schedule. And of course, they want more. And the other thing to keep in mind, so I talked about crumb, we really want to make sure that when we're presenting the information, we know we have something that they want. We know that whether they take it or not is up to them, but we have something that is worth their time. And if they say no, it's not an offense to us. They said no. And, don't worry, within 2 or 3 years, they'll come back to you and be like, okay, fine, I'm ready now. But we have something, a really powerful tool, and we don't need to be apologetic about it. We don't need to be timid about it. We need to be very bold about it. And no, I've heard people refer to it before as having a cookie. We have a cookie. We're offering them a cookie. They say, no, thanks. Are we offended? No, we say, okay, more for me. Okay. Or more from somebody else. Right. So it's really important that we don't get bogged down by the notion that maybe they don't want it. Maybe they don't understand how valuable this is. We know it's valuable, and nothing they can say can really deter us from that. Okay, so we have those 4 classes back to back with your upline on the schedule. They're excited to come. You know they need these products. It's just a matter of them getting there to enroll. Now, at your classes, what do? You teach great classes, right? You're enroller, your upline will help you with this. And enrolling the people is really important, but also booking classes from these classes is really important, and another skill that we train on. And I'm not going to get into that in this training because that's not what we're here for. But we do, for our members, have a whole units where you can go through all of these trainings and get all of this information, so you can up level all of these skills. But booking classes from classes is going to build that momentum. You're going to like I said, hopefully book 4 weeks out into the next two per week for the next 4 weeks. Now, some of these you may even schedule before you have your classes personally, because you'll talk to somebody and they'll be like, oh, we're out of town that week. And you're like, oh, that's a bummer. Well, would you consider having a class for me? I think you'd love these oils. And if you can bring a few people together, I'll give you a few special perks. And maybe you'll have a few classes on your calendar for other people already, and have that when you're at your 4 classes, this calendar of available dates for people to take them, and first come, first serve, right? So this is all very exciting, right? Aren't you just motivated? You're like, oh, this makes total sense. I can see it falling together. You really have to just be prepared. I will say too, be aware that when you put yourself out there like this, there will be some people who aren't on board with your success. And it usually is the people you love the most. You have to be prepared to just do it because you've committed to it and really put your whole heart into it. And the most effective way to spend your time in this period is with connecting with the people on your list and making sure you're meeting a need that they have. Individual connection, not a Facebook invite. Okay. Do not forget Facebook it even exists at this time frame, unless you just need help coming up with the names list. But it is not going to be the most effective tool for getting people to your classes. What the most effective tool is talking to people individually about their specific health needs. So that's why we want to have that on our list, what it is that they need for their own health and wellness. Okay. So your 4 classes back to back, enroll the people, talk to your enroller about how placements work. That's going to be important. Support your people, help them get plugged into some of the usage groups, and do use some of the resources that doTERRA has for new customers. The Live Guide is amazing. I love going over that with new customers. It's full of information. It helps them start thinking about our other products outside of the oils, our toothpaste and our supplements, all of these other products that we have that are more commonly replenished. And so that'll be great for your retention rate too. But it's just one of those things. We really want people, we don't want them to just enroll with a kit. We want them to feel supported on their wellness journey. And that's the next step. The wellness overview, or the wellness consult that we do with our new members about a week after they've enrolled is a cherished time where we get to know them more personally and get to understand what makes them tick, what their priorities are health-wise, and all of that. Okay, so you had a challenge. That's really it. Do you guys have any questions about what I just outlined, about how that all comes together? It's not super complicated. It's really pretty straightforward. And I do have a track B option. So if you're like, oh, that's too much, I can't handle it, I have a track B option for you, okay? So don't worry about it. Don't be too overwhelmed. Like I said, you can scale this back. You could do 2 weeks or 2 classes in 1 week, maybe for 2 weeks. And that would be a great place to start. You can do 1 class a week for, ever, honestly. People have built very successful businesses doing that. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions roll in, so I'm going to keep moving. But my challenges for you are to, 1, make that list and highlight those names of the people that you would really like to work with. Your list should be as extensive as you can possibly make it. Every person you ever come in contact with should be on your list, okay? We don't want to rule anyone out. Unless they're already enrolled with doTERRA, in which case, talk to them, but maybe don't put them on your list. Okay. Highlight those people. So in this month of December, I encourage you to get people excited about oils. I encourage you to start just typing up what you're loving, talking about what's making a difference in your healthcare routine, talk about, the cool things that are going on with doTERRA, the free frankincense, diffuse constantly and all of these family gatherings, make sure you have a diffuser going, make sure you're wearing oil so you smell amazing. Just really be using every opportunity you can to have that come up in conversation, and it will very pretty naturally. If you're using your oils regularly, it'll come up. Carry them with you, have breathe and lavender and peppermint on you all the time, so if something pops up when you're at the park or something with your kids and you have your lavender, you can pull it out and help a kid there or something. But use December. I'm not going to tell you to launch your business in December, because most people are going to be like, Lacey, you're nuts. That's crazy. It's a terrible time. It's really not a terrible time. It's actually one of our busiest times of the whole year. November is our biggest month of the year. It launches us into December, where we have a free frankincense option. It is a big time of year. People are getting the flu. They're getting sick. They're around their families. They need emotional support. People need the oils. People want the oils for their holiday presents. So it's a really big time of year for doTERRA. So launching this month is not a terrible idea. However, it can be tricky to get people to events because there's so much already going on. So take advantage of what's going on, and that can be your chance to let people borrow your oils. Like I said, you can even, traditionally we would give sample vials. They're about this big. Actually, here's one right here. If you haven't seen our tiny little sample bottles, they're really handy. We love them. This is a balance. And I generally have a ton of these made up all the time. We use them constantly. But even still, loan it to someone. I know, right? Not only does that mean you have to follow up with them, but then they realize there's value here. It's a tiny little vial of oil, but it still means something to you. It's still got some value to it. This is balance. I'm going to just go ahead and open it. Maybe. Here we go. I love balance. Okay. So Lisa has a question. I'll come back to it in a minute. Okay, so those samples, loan them out. It's a great thing. Okay. Use your oils like crazy. Become more in love with your oils, whatever it is. A lot of times I see people get to a point and they're like, I'm so frustrated with my business right now. And I'm like, spend some time with your oils, spend some time really just kind of reading your book, experiencing them in a new way. And it really kind of rejuvenates and re-inspires. So make sure you're doing that too. Okay. The track B option, is the option where you use December too. And then, track A was, we're going to use, January as a launch period. We're going to set up, and we're actually going to do this as a group. So if you are on our team, we would love for you to join us with this and have a launch group together. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But what I want you to do is be thinking through December, both track A and track B groups, about people who you would want to work with. And we're going to do another opportunity meeting at the end of December, right before January starts. And these people that you are hyping up the oils with, bring them on that call. And we are going to just talk about how amazing the oils are, how right now is an incredible time to start with doTERRA, and a lot of the same information that we shared in our last call, just about the excitement and the fun and all of the things that come with building a doTERRA business, and why right now is such a great time to start. And then you can run with them down this path towards your launch and do the launch together with them. So bring these partners with you. And then we'll announce that launch group that they can jump in with you in January with, okay? And that launching will take place from January 15th to the end of March. So we'll start that launch group January 15th. It'll go to the end of March, okay? Again, I haven't picked a date solidly yet between December, the last week of December and January 1st. But it'll be one of those nights, one of those evenings. Usually they're pretty free. People are kind of in and out of their holiday stuff. So we'll get that on the calendar, watch for that announcement, and then watch for the launch announcement as well. And doing this with a partner makes all the difference in the world, and can really propel your business into new places. So now I'm going to answer some of the questions. If you guys have any more, feel free to post them. But let's see here. Lisa says, I have done all this and reached elite. Awesome work, Lisa. That's great. Now my warm market is gone. Yeah. Some in another state, now working on cold market. It's hard. Yeah, it's really hard. However, I actually said this, I think, on the last call. Um, until you're working with your cold market, you're really not building doTERRA, because you have to start treating it like you're a serious business builder, serious business owner. If you think about businesses that start in general, whether it's like, insurance agency or realtor or whatever, they may lean into their family at first, but your family only buys so many houses, right? So you just start reaching out and finding new markets. Um, and that's huge. It's a really huge transition. And so how can you reach into this cold market? How can you find new people, make new friends? One of the things is reaching down. Sometimes we look past our own enrollments, looking for new people, but if they've already enrolled with you, they already trust you on some level. So it's important to kind of reach out to them, maybe set up some incentives for them to have a class so you can reach into their market, and start getting beyond just the people that you've already enrolled and into their markets, right? So be thinking about that. Also, look at your list of people that you've enrolled. Surely someone in there would be, if you've enrolled 15 or more people, there's someone in there who maybe you think would be fun to build with, right? Or maybe somebody who would at least make a great sharer. So reach out to those people and start focusing on, okay, let's partner. Do you want to do this with me? I'm so excited. And reach out to them and get them motivated. So that can be a huge thing for sure. And then I like the loaning and samples idea. I love it. I have been doing small roller bottle samples. Yeah, sure. That would be great. But I think you still maybe could loan them. You should do this crazy doTERRA thing. It's working out well. For me, if you love the oils, just keep being re-inspired by that. You don't want to get hung up on the frustrating things. All people will say, oh, doTERRA business just frustrates me so much. Well, doTERRA frustrates me, but do you know what frustrates me more? My husband and my children. But I love them and I'm not going to quit on them. Of course, doTERRA frustrates me all the time, but I do love it. And so I'm going to give it the time that I need to make it successful. And I also love the things it's done for our life. So it's worth it for me to put myself out, even when it's frustrating or difficult or whatever. So anyway, I'm glad that you're feeling remotivated about your business. It matters. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? You're welcome to unmute and share those with me. If you don't know where to find the launch guide, let me know. I can show you step by step how to get to that and download that for free. In fact, I might pull it up just to show you some of the other resources that are in there. So let me share my screen again. Okay, so some of the other things I love about the launch. So here it tells you what skills you need. You need to be able to invite well. You need to be able to teach a class decently and enroll people at a class. You need to do good follow-up. And then you need to help people build their own businesses. So those are some of the skills. Here's an example of a success schedule. I like this as a different option. And you can see that they have a one-on-one with one person and then a class the next week, 2 classes that week, 2 classes this week, 1 class the next week. So this is a really good schedule. It's not the same as the 6 weeks to elite, but it is a really powerful schedule. If you do this successfully, inviting people and getting, I would say 5 or more people to each of these classes, you'll have a really amazing business on your hands taking off. So this could be the way that you want to approach building a business. And that's totally effective. And I would say that's exactly what it looked like when I started. This is what I was willing to commit. And that looks like maybe 5, maybe 8 hours a week, all said and done. This elite or 6 weeks to elite program is probably more like 20 hours a week with all the sampling that's involved, because you want to sample like 60 people on your list before you start having your classes. Okay, here's the success tracker. This is really handy. Printing this document to keep track of these people that you're helping with the oils is key. Getting them to classes. I'm going to zoom in here because it tells you what to do. So you want to connect with them. You want to share an oil experience with them and then invite them to the class. Once they come to a presentation, you can check this off. Once they enroll, you can check this off. And once they have a lifestyle overview, can check that off. So this kind of helps you. You want to share and invite 45 plus people. This is one strategy. With 6 weeks to elite, you really want to up that to maybe 60 plus people, 60, 70 even, which, you know, is time consuming. You get 30 plus people to a class, you get 15 people enrolled, 15 people do their wellness consult, and then 3 of those 15 would be interested in doing the business with you. And then you want to host an overview with your people about launching their own businesses and what that looks like. And you can use this tool to do that with. Okay, so that's a really good tracker. I love it. I love pen and paper, so I think this is a really great way to keep track of folks. And I've used that method for a long time. Just some more, these are those scripts I was telling you about. Inviting them to a one-on-one. If you need some scripts for that, you can take that and modify it. Like I said, write your own script. Just use this as a foundation. Inviting them to a class, inviting them to a webinar, getting them to their lifestyle overview or their wellness consult, getting them to a business overview. So this is all really fun, right? Enroll successfully. Here's some more scripts. And it just makes it so much easier once you understand how all of this kind of comes together. Placement strategy, you'll want to start thinking about eventually. So I'm not gonna, this is it. I think that's the last page. There, we use oils, we share oils, and we teach others to do the same. True story. Okay, I see somebody in the chat. So stop share. This form is in launch booklet. Yeah, that was one of the pages in the launch guide. So yeah, I would say one of your tasks now should be to take the list that you've created and add them to that success planner list. Okay, and that will be a great way to keep track of who you've talked to, who you've shared with, all of those things. Do I supply the little booklets at my classes? Which little booklets do you mean, Cecilia? At my classes, I don't think so, because all I give at my classes is the class sheet that we use and an enrollment sheet. That's all. Do you mean the Nature's Wellness or something booklet? I can't hear you. I do not use that. I do not use doTERRA's class format. So that's the one thing I don't do on the system. But we just have found that this other format is a little simpler and a little bit more effective for us. I get lost in the pages on that other one. Sorry, my phone is buzzing and I don't know where it is. Hope it's not one of you texting me. Okay. All right, well, y'all, I've really enjoyed sharing all of this with you. I can linger for a few minutes. You're welcome to ask me more questions. But I hope that you've gained some really good information about how to propel your business. Again, while I know it can seem more overwhelming if you've already built doTERRA, then what happens next is you need to help other people build doTERRA, right? We need to connect with people who want to build and help them find the simple tools and path to build a successful business for themselves. Yeah, you definitely will probably hit some walls. Bye, Lisa. Thanks for joining us. But make sure that you're just, game on it. And you have confidence in the tools and the resources that you can help people with. Both the oils and the education and the building resources. So, all right, everybody, that's it. I guess I'm going to hit the hay. Have a good night. Again, I'm here if you have any questions that pop up, just let me know. And if you want to make a real specific plan for yourself, let me know and I will love to work with you on that. You're welcome, Cecilia. It's a real enthusiasm. Good night. Good night, Peg.